Return to Us, a Fire Emblem fanfiction by Robin, Queen of Ylisse. Chapter 7, Present Time. Chrom turned in surprise as Lucina's head plopped down against his lap. The poor girl had been struggling to remain awake, and it seemed she had finally given in. The Lord smiled at the calmness of his daughter's face as he tucked her once more into her bed, slipping out of the princess's room without a sound. He let out a long sigh as he glanced down the dark hallway before him. He brought a hand up to his cheek and was surprised to find the remnants of a tear. He closed his eyes as he recollected his thoughts, dispelling another long breath before making his way to his quarters alone, the same way he had every day for the past 3 years. Chrom stepped slowly into his room, closing the door silently behind him and taking a seat on the far end of the bed. He considered the possibility of sleep, but his racing mind reminded him that he wouldn't be capable of it. Glancing up, Chrom found himself gazing at a picture on the wall, a large portrait depicting him and Robin on their wedding day. Chrom smiled as the memory of that day came to him. It had been one of the few times Robin got herself to wear a dress in public, and just the thought of how beautiful she had been nearly made his heart skip a beat. Gods, he missed her. He missed everything about her. Every passing day made it more and more difficult. Every time he saw Lucy, it reminded him of her, as the young princess turned out to be more and more like her mother, even more so than her future counterpart. Chrom hated thinking of how badly he missed Robin. It only made the others worry about him, and worse still, it reminded him of his doubts. Ever since the search for the missing queen began, it had been an uphill struggle. They had no clues or information to go off beyond the few words left to them by the divine dragon Naga, and even those had been laced with doubt and improbability. Over the past 3 years, extensive searches and investigations had been conducted, yet had provided nothing into Robin's whereabouts or if she even still existed upon this world. Shaking his head, Chrom expelled the thoughts from his mind. It would only make things harder if he allowed himself to think like that. After a brief moment to recollect himself, Chrom glanced back up at the painting that decorated the wall and gave a sad sigh as he lay back into the bed. "Please," Chrom muttered to the blank wall. "Please, return to us." The castle was in a hectic scramble when Lucina awoke, curious as to the commotion outside. She meandered around the castle, searching for her father as soldiers and servants moved around. Fearful that someone would order her back to her room, Lucina stuck to the shadows, careful not to be noticed as she carefully navigated the crowd. "What are you doing sneaking around?" a familiar voice asked, and Lucina spun around to find a friendly face smiling down at her. "Gaius!" Lucina exclaimed joyously, embracing the thief in a quick hug and a large grin. "Oh yeah, I got you something, Sparkles. And if your dad asked, it wasn't from me," Gaius said, addressing Lucina by the nickname he'd given her as he produced a small cake which the young girl excitedly accepted. "Now back to my first question. What you sneaking around for?" "I was looking for Daddy," Lucina answered, her mouth already full. "Gaius, where have you run off? Chrom is waiting for us," Cordelia's voice called out, and Gaius glanced out in the direction of his wife's voice before turning back to Lucina. "Well, come on, Sparkles, we can find him together," Gaius said, looking at the girl with surprise as she managed to scoff down the rest of the cake. "Geez, you like those more than I do, and that's saying a lot." The young princess giggled playfully, small crumbs falling down her face as she took the thief's hand, following him to the other room. Chrom stood hunched over a large desk which held a vast collection of detailed maps that had been scattered about it. Around the table were a number of the shepherds, but this wasn't like the cheerful reunions Lucina was used to. Instead of the bouts of laughter and cracked jokes, a serious air lingered in the room, and each present member wore what appeared to be battle gear. Lucina clung closely to Gaius, the tense air making her nervous. "Are you positive it was Risen? I thought we had wiped out the last of them," Chrom asked, turning to the duo of Sully and Stahl, who both stood at attention beside the exalt. "We've got nothing but rumors, Crom, but," Stahl began, but was quickly cut off by his wife. "But at least we must act, or we're just allowing the damned creatures to cause more damage," Sully spoke up quickly, determination in the knight's eyes. "I say we intercept those dastards before they get too far." "I understand your concern, but we can't just march out at a moment's notice. We need to plan out our approach," Crom answered calmly, as he turned back to the deck before him. "Hell, if Robin was still here, we'd..." Sully began, but caught herself immediately, panic forming in her eyes as she stammered, I mean..." A number of eyes fell upon Crom, who gazed down into the maps that lay across the table. "I'm sorry, my lord, I didn't mean to," Sully said as she began to apologize, but Crom cut her off. "It's fine, Sully, and please, we're friends. There is no need for honorary titles," Crom answered with a light smile. Of course, sir, Crom," she answered with a slight stutter. Crom simply smiled, but his attention was quickly taken as he noticed Gaius walk up beside him, Lucina clinging closely to him. "Daddy!" the young princess exclaimed joyously as she ran to Crom's side, a series of warm smiles coming upon the numerous onlookers. A broad smile came upon Crom's expression as he picked up the excited toddler. "What are you doing here? And is this frosting? Who gave you sweets this early in the morning?" Crom asked, but his eyes were already upon Gaius, who gave a guilty shrug. "I came to see you, Daddy," she answered, loyally avoiding the proposed question about how she obtained the sweets. "Well, right now Daddy has some work to attend to," Crom answered, receiving a disappointed frown from his daughter. Crom told the Lucy she could stay so long as she wasn't a hindrance to the adults, and Lucina's curiosity was enough to keep her still. She watched in silent awe as the veteran members of the Shepherds and a multitude of Yllissian soldiers worked quickly and efficiently as they prepared to mobilize. The young girl couldn't help but feel the tension in the air, but it was nothing surprising as the group was readying to march into battle. After a lengthy debate, the decision was finally made to move out at noon. Over the course of the meeting, Lucina had made her way to Cherche's side, the wyvern rider allowing the young girl to sit on her lap as the group discussed. From beside Cherche, Henry chatted with the princess as he entertained her with small crackles of colorful magic. After the group had finished their discussion and small chatter, Lucina called out to her father saying, "Daddy, could you continue the story about Mommy before you go?" Numerous pairs of eyes fell upon the exalt, each curious as to what it was he would say. "Alright, and I suppose the rest of you are going to stay," Crom said after a brief moment of thought. A quick round of chuckles surrounded the table as the members of the Shepherds smiled at the exalt, waiting to hear what he would say. "When did all this become group story time?" Crom grumbled, receiving another bout of laughter. "Well, some of us weren't there to see it ourselves," Henry said with a grin. "And others of us can't help but find comfort in old memories," Sumia added, several others nodding in agreement. "Please, Daddy?" Lucina begged, Crom's face relaxing as he looked at his daughter. Alright, Crom sighed, giving in to the persistent demands of his friends. "We were heading out for Ragnar Ferox in order to request reinforcements."